Remember in my previous video, I said that going forward, I will lessen the scope of my games and only explore one core game mechanic per entry. Yeah, that was a lie. Welcome to how I made Binding of Isaac in a week. For those who do not know what Binding of Isaac is, well, let's cut straight to the point and talk about how I designed the dungeon generation part of the game, as that is the real meat of the dish. The logic in itself on paper is actually very simple. We have pre-made rooms that have exits on all four of their sides. These rooms themselves are divided into three main categories: base room, intermediate room, and boss room. Base rooms are the rooms where you, the knight, initially spawn into. They contain no enemy and serve the purpose as the center of the dungeon and kind of act like a safe house, with each dungeon having only one safe room. Exiting this base room, you will enter one of the other two types of rooms. Upon entering an intermediate room, all the exits would immediately log in place and only open once when you kill all the enemies inside. On the bright side though, upon killing such enemies, you will get a randomized item that you can collect to upgrade or heal your knight. Boss room, however, is a penultimate room of the dungeon where you must face against a mighty board king and its army of boards. The layout of the dungeon is based on the exits of these rooms. Let's start from the beginning. Suppose your dungeon has 20 rooms. Firstly, one of the many pre-made base rooms will be generated into the dungeon. Based on its exit, the generation algorithm will randomly select matching intermediate rooms that not only connect to these exits but have at least one extra exit as well. This is to ensure that the dungeon never ends abruptly. This process is repeated for the next set of exits as well, and so on and on until 20 rooms are made. Now, some of these rooms will surely have leaking exit, that is, exits that do not connect to any of the other rooms. These leaking exits are then filled by adding rooms such that they fill these leaking exits, all except for one. This single leak is then used to house the boss of the dungeon, making it naturally one of the farthest room from the player initially. This makes sure that you will explore a good chunk of the dungeon before you face this boss, so that you're powerful enough to beat it. You, the player, are a knight possessing awesome and realistic powers like moving with arrow keys, shooting magical bullets with spacebar. Naturally, with powers like these, you are tasked to clear dungeon housing monsters such as a mad monkey that likes to jump, a succulent that shoots thorns whenever it exhales, a rock-eating flower that shoots rock at anyone, a corrupt mage that has no direction sense, a boar with anger issues and a poor eyesight, and finally, a self-proclaimed king of all boars. Now we have all but one piece of the entire puzzle, and that is a game camera. In other top-down dungeons like Zelda, etc., we see that a camera is locked onto the room that the player is currently in, and it transitions along with the player whenever they travel between said rooms. To replicate this effect, I made an area covering all of a room. Whenever the player enters this room, or consequently this area, then signal the camera to now point towards this room with a motion twin in between for a smooth transition. And here is the final result. Finally, it was time to integrate the game pieces. This integration came with having to make all the rooms in the game, which going by math needed to be at least 16 to ensure the dungeon with any layout can be created. Yes, 16 sounds a lot for a game that has to be made only within a week, right? So let's make 37 of them. That will be fun, trust me. Anyway, to make all of these rooms, I watched a lot, and I mean a lot, of Binding of Isaac. The reference helped though, as I was able to make all of these rooms with not much sleep loss. Not at all.
Not much sleep lost.
I woke up to this day realizing that I've yet to make any sprites for the game. Finally, all that is left is to add the background music and sound effects for the game. For the effect, I just reused the ones that I had found from my previous titles, and for the former, I just searched for the net for some royalty-free music, as I cannot make music for shit. With everything done, it was time to publish the game. You know the usual: make a Chayo page, collect some screenshots, some GIFs, and make a post in Godot subreddit. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग द वीडियो गाइस। होपफुली आपको आज का वीडियो अच्छा लगा हो। एज ऑलवेज आपको आज के वीडियो का गेम का लिंक नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में मिल जाएगा। प्लीज डू गिव इट अ